Fintech Dynamics was the largest stockbroking and algorithmic trading company in the country, where the world's most advanced AI trading software and powerful supercomputers were installed to predict every movement of the stock market. Yet for the last 15 days, the entire system had completely frozen. There were no trades, no data updates, and no signals. Every day, the company suffered losses worth millions of rupees, investors' money remained stuck, company shares kept falling, and its reputation was collapsing. Experts from around the world were hired, massive consulting fees were paid, servers were replaced, and every line of code was checked, but the screen continued to display only one message: system halted. In a poor corner of the same city, a 10-year-old boy named Aki lived in a small kacha house made of mud and broken bricks. The walls were cracked, the roof leaked during rain, and the floor was covered with dust. Aki wore torn, dirty clothes with faded colors and broken slippers that barely stayed on his feet. Every morning, he carried a large sack on his thin shoulders and pushed an old, rusted scrap cart through the streets, collecting plastic, paper, and metal to earn a few rupees. Inside the kacha house, Aki's father lay on a thin cloth spread on the floor. His body was weak and fragile, his face pale, his eyes sunken, and his beard messy from long illness. His breathing was heavy, his chest burned with pain, and coughing fits shook his body throughout the night. The doctor had warned that without proper medicines within 10 days, his survival would be uncertain. Aki often sat beside him, holding his hand with small trembling fingers, silently praying for his life. That night, Aki sought his mother sitting near the mud wall, quietly crying, her clothes old and worn like the rest of the house. She kept asking the same helpless question about where the money for medicines would come from. Though Aki was only 10 years old, the fear of losing his father made him feel much older than his age. The next day, wearing the same torn clothes and carrying the medicine prescription in his pocket, Aki went to his uncle's house. His uncle looked healthy and strong, wearing clean pressed clothes, polished shoes, and a shiny watch on his wrist. His house was well built, painted, and furnished, clearly showing comfort and financial stability. Aki stood at the door with his head lowered and requested money for his father's medicines. The uncle listened briefly, checked his phone, and coldly said he could not help, then closed the door. Aki sat on the ground outside, hugging his knees, tears falling silently, while one thought echoed in his heart that he had to save his father somehow. That evening, while pulling his scrap cart, Aki reached the glass gates of Fintech Dynamics. He stopped there every day to rest and stare at the giant screens showing frozen candlestick charts. His grandfather had once worked in the same company as a chief data analyst before fate changed his life, and now he ran a small scrap shop. At night, he taught Aki about charts, numbers, and market patterns in simple words, using chalk and broken cardboard. Aki believed that if he could help restart the company's system, he might earn enough money to buy medicines for his father. Standing at the gate with his torn clothes, dusty face, and scrap sack on his back, Aki softly said that he could restart the system. The guards laughed loudly, pointing at the poor child and his scrap cart, while junior employees mocked him, saying this was a stock market office, not a place for a ragpicker boy. Inside the building, however, the company's owner Sunil Mittal was mentally exhausted. His 500 crore alpha project had been stuck for 15 days, and with nothing left to lose, he allowed the child to enter. Aki carefully observed the system, and within 15 minutes, he identified a damaged fiber cable, corrected the reversed earth and phase wiring, and reset the power backup. When he pressed the execute button, the screen suddenly came alive, charts started moving, and trades reopened. A company that had been silent for 15 days came back to life, and the entire room filled with shock and applause. Soon after, the truth came out that Aki was actually Sunil Mittal's own son, separated after a divorce and raised in poverty by his mother and grandfather. Tears filled Sunil's eyes as he admitted that he had earned great profits in life, but his greatest loss was his child, and that day Aki had not only saved the company but also corrected the balance sheet of his entire life. Aki was rewarded with money and immediately rushed back to his kacha house, leaving his scrap cart behind. He bought the medicines for his father, and that night, his father's breathing slowly became stable. This imaginative moral story teaches us never to judge anyone by appearance, poverty, or clothes, because destiny often hides diamonds inside coal, and even the smallest hands can change the biggest outcomes. This story is not based on real events or real people. It is a purely imaginative and fictional moral story created only to convey a moral lesson, and any resemblance to real persons, companies, or situations is purely coincidental.